Yo, what's up? So today I'm gonna be talking about how to rebuild your life from zero, from complete scratch, going into 2026, right? Uh, it's one thing that I want to make important is that in order for you to first get into the mindset of wanting to rebuild your life must have crumbled, or not essentially like all the way, but like you understand that you can be doing a lot better than you currently are in life right now. So I'm going to, break it down to you. I'm going to break down the essential steps you need to take in order to rebuild your life. So the first things first, which is phase one, you have to accept, right? You need to be in a mindset of acceptance, which from what I previously said, before you realize that your life needs to be rebuilt, you need to must have analyzed what you have currently going on in your life at the current moment. And I want you guys to, practice this before you go into the New Year's. If you're watching this into the New Year's, it's never too late for you to have that self-awareness and get in the acceptance phase. I don't know why I started with that, but yeah, you want to get into the acceptance phase and analyze your life, accept all the setbacks, all the previous actions that you have made that led you up into that point or the point where you're at right now, right? And once you've gone through the acceptance phase, now you're going to be able to make, analyze and make future plans on, knowing not to do what you did wrong that got you to where you're currently at. Let's say, for instance, you maybe partied a lot throughout 2025 or 2024, or let's say you were hanging around the wrong group of people. Once you analyze all these vices or all these, situations or scenarios that got you to your setback, you accept it. The next thing you need to do is obviously plan, step by step executable steps that you're actually gonna apply, not just planning, because plans without action is just dead, right? Which basically faith without work is dead. And once you have accepted this, you plan, you execute. Now that's the phase one when it comes to changing your current situation and rebuilding your life going into 2026, right? Now, phase two is obviously financial stability, right? So now that you've first in phase one, you've analyzed everything that got you to the position where you're currently at. You've planned on how to get yourself out of that situation, right? You can do the planning when it comes to financial. You can do financial plannings too as well. But in phase two, I want to talk about how to strategically plan when it comes to walking your way to financial stability. Now, why do you have to strategically plan when it comes to this? Is because everybody, or I'm hoping majority of people who are watching this video work a job, or let's say maybe you run your own business, right? Or you're constantly getting income, right? Majority of people constantly get income, but they're not able to retain that income and actually grow, because honestly, anybody can become successful financially, right? It doesn't matter if you're making $2,000 a month, or if you're making $3,000, or you're making $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, right? Well, obviously, once you're making over $10,000, is when financial stability really should be an issue, as long as you're living below your means. But even at $2,000-$3,000 a month, you can still be financially stable and financially succeed financially, right? Now, in order for you to be able to do this, you have to be willing to make sacrifices, right? And you need to have a very disciplined budget that literally sends your money to work for you, right? Now, what does this mean? Let's say, for instance, you have a job and you make $3,000 a month. Your expenses about $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month. You should be putting away that additional $1,000 or $1,500 to work for you. And a place where you can put this money is a high yield savings account where you get a 4 to 5% APR or interest on your money. Or another place that you can put it in stocks, bonds, ETFs, right? These are like things that have historically proven to give you higher returns, right? Up to 8 or 12%, I believe. It was like one of the highest years. So you want to put your money in these things and let it grow and live below your means. Only spend on buying things that you need, not things that you want, right? Spend the whole year next year, right? Let's say the first 6 months of the year, be like financially disciplined, investing all your money. Take maybe a month vacation in the middle, like around July, come back and do the exact same thing. Continue throughout the rest of the year. Be financially disciplined, right? You're gonna have at least $20,000-$30,000 saved by the end of next year, right? If you're completely living below your means, and then you can reinvest that into a high income skill, right? You know, you can always learn high income skill throughout doing all of this, right? But if you're trying to just focus on working, get 2 jobs, you know, right? Because that's how you're gonna get to the financially, you're gonna rebuild your life financially going into 2026. Now, phase 3 is identity rebuilding, right? So identity rebuilding is you have to completely crush all bad habits. I know this has a little bit to do with what I talked about in phase 1, but when you're rebuilding your identity is you're completely crushing your old self, things that you normally do on a daily basis. Let's say you normally go do this after work, or let's say you normally go smoke with your friends after work. You completely crush that. It's gonna be really hard to stay consistent with rebuilding a new identity because it almost doesn't feel like you, and everything just don't feel right. It doesn't sit right with your skin. But you have to do this in order to get yourself to the next level, and you have to accept that this is part of the journey, right? You have to completely strip yourself, right? Rebuild your identity. Replace, you know, hanging out with random women or vice versa every Thursday or Friday into reading books at that time, right? Now, doing these things is rebuilding your identity. You're doing things that your body or your brain, like your skin just doesn't feel comfortable doing. It feels uncomfortable, right? So you need to do things like this, rebuild your entire identity. Look at your schedule. What do you normally do throughout the day? After work, you know, you've accepted your current situation. Obviously, you've made plans to get yourself away from where, you've made plans to improve your current situation going into 2026. You have understood your financial habit, your bad financial habit. You have built a financial plan to help you get your income up there. You know, the identity part, it has to do with, you know, the first 2 things that I mentioned, but it's going even deeper, right? Completely cutting off things that you know you are doing. It's stealing away from your time that you can be putting somewhere else to build your identity, the identity that you want to achieve in the future, whether that's being a millionaire or multi-6-figure earner. You need to think and act as you're already living it, right? That's how you rebuild your identity, because you know damn well that there's no millionaire that's just sitting on a random Tuesday evening smoking weed, right? So switch those activities and do what you think somebody in the position where you're trying to get is going to be doing at that time. Now, income stacking has something to do with phase 2, right? But income stacking, obviously having multiple sources of income, right? Having just one stream of income is just not enough. 2 to 3 minimum is what you should be aiming for, right? I personally, I have like over 6, actually four streams of income, right? The other 2 aren't really active right now. Have affiliates, brand deals, my offer, and as well as the social media platforms that pay me, right? So those are my streams of income. You want to have multiple streams of income, and they all should be generating you income and enough to cover your entire monthly expenses, each and every single one of them, right? So you need to definitely increase your income. You know, if you're working a job, get another job, or maybe drive Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, one of those other side hustles on the side, right? And give it your all at the same time, learn a high paying income skill, or being maybe a sales rep on the side on the weekends, whatever, right? You need to occupy yourself with building up reps, because all these reps that you're stacking up, these little small wins, eventually you're going to look back 6 months later and see that all the work that you'll put in is eventually paid off, right? And now obviously becoming unstoppable, phase 5, right? Which is just going even further, doing what I just said, like just going so hard that you have no time for pleasure, right? Obviously it's good for you to relax every maybe once a month, take like 2-3 days to just relax, build your mind, and like obviously, yeah, I'm like lock in when it's time to lock in. There's 24 hours in a day. You know, you only really should be sleeping 6-7 hours a day, right? Now, I'm not a medical profession to tell you how many hours you need to sleep, but I personally sleep like 5 to 6 hours per night, right? So, well, on the weekends I sleep 7-8 hours, but on the weekdays 5-6 hours, right? So, and I lock in at once. I have one day a week that I actually spend time with obviously loved ones, family members, and like that day you can also create the same thing. Have that day be a day you on a date. If you're currently in a relationship, if you're not, just lock in. You don't need that right now, right? So become unstoppable. Like go all in into your, like go all in whatever it is that you're doing, right? Try to get the maximum amount of income you can get in whatever you're doing, whether that's DoorDash, right? If you're working an 8-hour full shift, you're doing DoorDash afterwards, like do 5 hours DoorDash afterwards, right? You know, do whatever it is that you have to do to maximize your income. Spend less, maximize savings and high income, high yield savings accounts, right? And rebuild an identity that looks like the person you're going to become, because more often, like literally, if you rebuild an identity and you live that identity for long enough, it's just gonna be you. It's just literally gonna be you. If you want to be a millionaire, just act as if you're a millionaire. Do what millionaires will be doing at every given time that you're thinking, or every given moment that you're thinking, that you're not focusing or going crazy at your craft or your hustle, whatever. You're reading books, you're going to the gym, watching what you eat, you eat, you know, spending time with family, like putting a dollar amount on your time that doesn't have to do with family, like doing things that you know is going to get you to that next level. That's what you need to be doing in order to obviously rebuild your life from zero going into 2026. Now, I know this is not like a full step-by-step guide that gives you tangible actual business models, but this is just an identity rebuild blueprint that'll help you get to that next level, right? So do as you wish with this information. Hope I see you guys at the top, because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.